Halo 5 just hit the market with a fresh batch of upgrades and bold claims. So naturally, we ran it through our usual round of real-world GPS accuracy testing. And after seeing how it stacked up, we're ready to present what we still believe is the best GPS dog collar available today. You'll see footage from these tests throughout this video. Real dogs, real fences, and those same GPS challenging conditions. We'll walk you through exactly how each collar performed, why accuracy matters more than flashy features, and what our tests revealed this time around. If you're ready to skip to the recommendation, we've got updated discount links in the description, which help support this channel at no extra cost to you. But stick around if you want to see why the data continues to speak for itself. So for a long time, SpotOn has been widely regarded as the accuracy leader in the GPS dog fence world. While other companies focused on flashy features, colorful apps, or rock-bottom pricing, SpotOn obsessed over one thing: making sure their collar knew exactly where your dog was all the time in all conditions. But recently, the market has gotten really interesting. Not because someone finally matched SpotOn's accuracy, that hasn't happened yet, but because new players have entered the scene with entirely different strategies altogether. Companies like Satellai are betting that dog owners care more about AI-powered insights and extended battery life than GPS precision. Others are focusing on built-in training programs or social features that let you connect with other dog owners. And look, some of these features sound pretty cool on paper. Who doesn't want a collar that lasts longer between charges or tracks every detail of their dog's routine? But for dog owners, those extras really only matter if the boundary itself is totally dependable. A collar can have the best app in the world, but if it can't consistently tell your dog where home is, none of those other features actually matter. Here's the reality. Accuracy isn't just about safety. When the collar delivers feedback in the same order and the same place every time, your dog starts to understand it as a clear training cue instead of a random signal. That consistency is what turns the technology into an actual training tool, not just a boundary line. So while we appreciate innovation and new features in the GPS collar space, we have maintained our focus on what we believe matters the most: testing GPS accuracy under real-world conditions. Just so you know, this round of testing took place under dense pine and mixed tree cover, the kind of tough GPS environment where even the best collars get challenged. It's not the easiest test setup, but we do it that way on purpose so that you can see how these collars perform when conditions are less than perfect. For our most recent round of testing, we evaluated 4 GPS dog fence collars head-to-head: the PetSafe Guardian GPS 2.0, SpotOn GPS Fence, Satellai, and just recently, the newly released Halo Collar 5. We chose these because they represent the current landscape, established players, and newer entrants with different value propositions. Our testing methodology was straightforward but rigorous. We set up a desired boundary line using rope under relatively dense tree cover. We're talking pine, oak, and maple trees that create the kind of GPS challenging environment that your dog might actually encounter in the real world. Running each test 5 times helped us to see how each collar handled normal GPS drift and shifting conditions, because even a strong signal can fluctuate when you're under heavy tree cover. We then approached this boundary line with each collar, and we marked exactly where each feedback stage occurred. We're talking about alert tones, warning signals, and correction feedback. Basically, does the collar warn your dog where you actually want it to consistently every single time? We also made sure that we tracked how important each potential piece of missed feedback was. Intermediate, meaning a warning tone was missed. But critical would be if the collar failed to prevent escaping the boundary. SpotOn came out nearly perfect in this round. Every feedback stage triggered right where we expected it to during testing, with really only minimal variation across runs. Across all 5 tests, SpotOn's boundary feedback stayed consistently precise, even under that heavy pine coverage that we mentioned earlier. SpotOn delivered a 0% failure rate, 0%. The boundary feedback was consistent, reliable, and precise across all 5 tests. For Halo 5, we saw a 13% intermediate failure rate as defined by our testing protocol, mostly from small overlaps where 2 feedback stages triggered in the same spot. Halo actually confirms this as normal behavior in the app, and while it's not ideal, it didn't really cause any safety issues during testing. Now, we should note that our Halo 5 testing happened under slightly different coverage conditions than our earlier Halo 4 test. So while the 5 did show improvement, it's not rather a perfect one-to-one comparison. Compared to the Halo 4, that's a modest improvement, again keeping in mind that this round of tests took place under slightly lighter coverage. Halo Collar 5 had a 13% intermediate failure rate, but importantly, these were not critical safety failures. So what does that mean? Well, sometimes the warning tone didn't fire, or it fired in the same location as another feedback stage. Not ideal, but your dog would still get alerted before crossing the boundary. That was a small improvement from the Halo 4 collar when we tested it, but still, that places it firmly in second place in our testing. The PetSafe Guardian 2.0 struggled under those dense trees, missing feedback about 40% of the time, and Satellai had the hardest time of all, with major signal delays that made boundary feedback almost unusable in this specific test setup. PetSafe Guardian GPS 2.0 had a 40% critical failure rate. When a collar misses boundary cues by 30 feet or more, that's a serious safety concern, especially if your dog's a fast mover. In our test environment, Satellai's feedback came in so late that it wouldn't be practical for real boundary training. And Satellai, 100% critical failure rate. The collar failed to provide any meaningful boundary feedback in every single test. Despite the app sometimes showing that the collar had breached the boundary, the actual feedback was either non-existent or it was so delayed that it was basically useless. So before we move on, keep in mind that all these results reflect how the collars performed in one of the toughest GPS conditions that we test. Open field results will always look just a little bit cleaner. So let's start with what made the biggest impression during testing. SpotOn was the only collar that allowed us to walk the actual boundary with the collar in hand. No guessing, no drawing on a map, no endless adjusting. It just mapped exactly where we walked. Every other collar that we tested required drawing boundaries through an app and then tweaking them over and over to get it close to where we wanted it to be. That difference might sound small, but it quickly added up in both time and confidence. SpotOn's advantage comes from serious engineering. It taps into 128 satellites across 4 global systems: GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, and Beidou, and it can track up to 30 simultaneously. That's what powers its 3-foot accuracy under open skies and 10-foot reliability under dense tree cover. Beyond accuracy, SpotOn handles all the essentials: overlapping fences, keep-out zones, unlimited fence storage, and full functionality even without a subscription. The app? It's powerful, but not particularly intuitive. That's the trade-off. More control means a steeper learning curve. But SpotOn supports you through it with free setup calls, training sessions, and customer service that actually knows the product. If you're willing to spend a couple of hours up front, you're going to get a system that works for years. SpotOn's higher upfront cost is real, but so is its long-term value. You're not locked into a subscription for core containment. The collar just works. Many more affordable collars require monthly fees for even basic functionality. Over a few years, the cost gap narrows, and what you're left with is either consistent performance or recurring frustration. This isn't about being cheap, it's about being effective. You'll find GPS collars with sleeker apps, longer battery life, or lower prices. SpotOn continues to lead the pack in accuracy and consistency of delivering feedback stages, and that's why it still ranks as our top pick. We've included current discounts and pricing info in the description below, because at the end of the day, every feature, every upgrade, it all depends on just one thing: that your dog understands the collar as a training tool.